This is our topic 2 review for our advanced algebra 1 test coming up. So I didn't leave enough room on here for me to show my work on this paper, so I'll be doing that on a separate sheet of paper. So our first question is graph y equals negative 3x minus 1. And I'm not doing this on graph paper, so I'll just draw my coordinate plane. You'll have graph paper on the test itself. So negative 1, and then I'm going to rise negative 3. So, and then I'm going to run positive 1. Put me right there. And draw in this line. And the slope of this line is negative 3. And the y-intercept is 0, negative 1. Okay. Number 2, want to write an equation through the points 2, 4, and negative 4, negative 2. So to write the equation of a line, I need slope and a point, and they can disguise that slope in many ways. One of the ways is to give me 2 points, and then I use our slope formula. I take the y value, negative 2, minus the other y value, 4, over the x value minus the other x value. Okay, and it looks like I'm going to get negative 6 over negative 6, so the slope is 1. So far that leaves me with y equals x plus b. Because the slope is 1, I don't have to write it there. It's understood to be there. And then I plug in either one of these points for x and y to solve for b. So I'm going to put in 4 for y and 2 for x, and I solve that for b, and I get 2. So my answer, y equals x plus 2. And it did ask for the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So you will need to read on the test what do we want. We want you to put that slope-intercept, point-slope, standard. You'll have to discern that. 5, negative 6. I want the equation of the horizontal line that passes through 5, negative 6. Well, 5, negative 6 would be down here somewhere. And the horizontal line that passes through there would be this horizontal line. And horizontal lines, and you can't see any of that, I'm sorry. So I've drawn my x and y axis, and then the line, the horizontal line through this point, 5, negative 6. And the slope of the horizontal line is 0. The equation of a horizontal line is y equals. And everywhere on this line, y equals negative 6. So your answer is y equals negative 6. Okay. Then that takes us to question 4, which says, we have ax plus by equals c. And we want to know what values of a, b, and c would give us the equation of a vertical line through the point 8 or 6, 8. Okay. And vertical lines are x equals lines, right? So the equation of the vertical line through this point would be x equals 6. So what do the values of a, b, and c have to be so that when I plug them in, I get x equals 6? Well, obviously, that's 1x, all right? There is no y term, and the only way I know to get rid of y is to multiply it by 0. And then it looks like that should equal 6. So in order for this to work, a has to be 1, b has to be 0, and C has to be 6. Because that, when I plug those in for A, B, and C, and I simplify, I get x equals 6, which is the equation of that vertical line through that point. Okay? And it's a multiple choice question, so then, you know me, I like to do the work first and then figure out which one of the multiple choice answers is correct. So number 5, what is an equation in point slope form of the line that passes through the point 2, negative 3 and has a slope of 4? And they want us to put that into point slope form. So point slope form is y, didn't mean to write that, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I plug in the point for x1 and y1. So x1 and y1, and I plug in 4 for the slope. So y minus negative 3 is y plus 3 equals the slope times the quantity x minus 2. And it wants my answer in point slope form, and there, by golly, there's my answer in point slope form. Okay, now we want slope intercept form. What is an equation in slope intercept form of the line that passes through negative 3, 4 and negative 5, 6? So again, they gave me 2 points, so I just need to find the slope given those 2 points and then write the equation of the line. So the slope is going to be 6 minus 4, y value minus the other y value, over negative 5 minus negative 3. So 6 minus 4 is 2. Negative 5 minus negative 3 is negative 2. So it looks like that slope is negative 1. I plug that in. I have y equals negative x. I don't have to write the 1. It's understood to be there. Plus b. Then I'm going to choose this first point, and I'm going to plug those in for x and y so that I can solve for b. So 4 equals the opposite of negative 3, or negative negative 3, plus b. So 4 equals 3 plus b. Subtract the 3 from both sides, and b is 1. So your answer here, y equals minus x plus 1. Okay. Number 7 says, what is the graph of 4x minus 2y equals negative 8? And that line's in standard form. And one way to graph it would be to solve for y, put it in slope-intercept form. Another way to graph it would be to graph the x and y intercepts, which in this case, because 4 is a factor of 8 and negative 2 is a factor of negative 8, I'm going to use the intercept method, and I'm going to graph the x and y intercepts, and that's going to be it. You know, as I said on the other question, you'll have graph paper on the test to do this. So I plug in 0 for x. If x is 0, then I get negative 2y equals negative 8. So y is 4. If I plug in 0 for y, I get 4x equals negative 8. So y is, or I'm sorry, x is negative 2. And so then I just graph those. Scale in here. So negative 2, 0 will be here, and 0, 4 is here, and that line looks like over here, that. And if they ask me for the y-intercept is 0, 4. If they ask me for the x-intercept is negative 2, 0. And if they ask me for the slope is rise 4, run 2. Slope is positive 2. The equation in standard form of the line that passes through, or that, I'm sorry, I skipped. Write the equation in standard form of the line that has x-intercept 3 and y-intercept -4. And we talked about this in class. I don't like it when they do this. The x-intercept is 3, then that's the point 3, 0. And if the y-intercept is 4, then that's the point 0, -4. Okay, I would prefer they list those as ordered pairs rather than just numbers like that. But anyway, I need the slope and a point, and obviously I have a slope. I can find the slope because I have 2 points. And then they also gave me a special point. They gave me the y-intercept. So I can go right to slope-intercept form, but it wants my answer in standard form. So I'll have to change that around to be in standard form. So my slope is I take y minus the other y over x minus the other x, and it looks like I get -4/3. So I have y equals -4/3 x plus b. Well, b is -4. They gave it to me. They gave me the y-intercept. Okay. So now I need to transform this to slope or to standard form. So I want to add 4/3 x to both sides. I'll have 4/3 x plus y equals -4. And then I would multiply everything by 3. So 4x plus 3y equals -12 would be that equation. And to be in standard form, remember we can't have a fraction. A, B, and C have to be integers, and so fractions aren't acceptable. Okay. 9. What is the equation in standard form of the line y equals 2/3 x plus 1? And so we just did that basically, right? To put that in standard form, I move the 2/3 x to the other side. So I'll have -2/3 x plus y equals 1. And then I have to multiply everything by 3 to get rid of that fraction. And I have -2x plus 3y equals 3. So that would be that equation in standard form. Number 10 says to give the x and y intercept of the graph of 4x minus 3y equals -36. And it's not asking me to graph this. It's just asking me to find the x and y intercept. So I can make my table where I make x 0 and then I make y 0. If x is 0, I get -3y equals -36. So y is 12. And if I make y 0, I get 4x equals -36. So x is -9. And it's not sufficient to just leave that as your answer. You need to tell me that the x-intercept is -9, 0, and the y-intercept is 0, 12. Okay. And number 11, it has 5x plus y equals 14, and y equals 1/5 x minus 2. And I'm supposed to determine if these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Well, the slope of this line, I can see it. It's 1/5 because that's in slope-intercept form. And I can look at slope-intercept form and tell you the slope. But over here, we're in standard form. So I need to get the 5x to the other side. So y equals -5x plus 14. And the slope here is -5. So the question is, are those slopes the same? Obviously not. Are those slopes opposite reciprocals? I think so. if I want to make sure, I can multiply them together. And if when I multiply them together, I get -1, that confirms that they are opposite reciprocals. And if the slopes are opposite reciprocals, therefore, the lines are perpendicular. That's our symbol for perpendicular. Number 12, which lines are parallel to 6x plus 2y equals 7? So again, in order to determine that, I need to know the slope of this line. So I get it to slope-intercept form. I move the 6x to the other side, -6x plus 7. And then I divide everything by 2, and I get -3x plus 7/2. And my slope here is 3. Then I look at my multiple choice options. I'll just write them down. I look at my multiple choice options, and the first one is y minus 1 equals -3 times x minus, or x plus 8. And this slope is -3, this slope is 3. Those aren't parallel. So that's not the answer. Y equals -3x. -3x plus 15. And again, the slope here is -3. You know, I goofed this up. I don't know what I did. Just wasn't thinking. The slope here is -3. And I started to question myself when the first two answers didn't work. And it says select all that apply. So I do want the slope to be -3 in order for these to be parallel. So A is a possibility, B is a possibility. Right? Both have a slope of -3. Looking at C, C is 12x plus 4y equals 9. So 4y equals -12x plus 9. And then divide by 4. Y is -3x plus 9/4. So that one also works. And then D has y equals 3x. And that one does not work. Okay. So the answer there would be A, B, and C. And then the last question, write the equation of this in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b of the line that passes through 2, -1 and is parallel to the graph of y equals -3/4 x plus 12. Well, the slope here is -3/4, and I want these lines to be parallel, so that means the slope here has to be -3/4. So now my task is to plug that into slope-intercept form, -3/4 x plus b, and then plug in my x and my y and solve that for b. So I get -1 equals -3/4 times 2 plus b, and -1 equals -3/2 plus b. And then I would add 3/2 to both sides. And I get that B is 1/2. So the equation of this line in slope-intercept form would be y equals -3/4 x plus 1/2. I took the test before I did this, and I would say that the difficulty of the questions are not quite indicative of what's on the test. On the test, you have to deal with more fractions. And so, you know, a lot of these, the slope, especially in the beginning, the slope turned out to be, you know, -1 or 1, or, you know, when we got 6/6 or 2/2. And, you know, I believe on the test, some of those will turn out to be fractions instead. So be prepared to deal with fractions, you know, more like we had to on this last question. And again, if you don't understand how I got, -1 plus 3/2 is 1/2, that's something you can do on your calculator and make sure you understand, how to punch that into your calculator and get the right answer. And then how to interpret that answer, because it doesn't look like 1/2 when they give you the answer for that. So anyway, that's it, and good luck on your test. I know you'll all do wonderful.